l'Italia. Pure a stare a chiedere. Francese. Io travagliare 3 giorni e poi... Ah sì?
Antonioni, Pietro, Antonioni, dai.
Che bella femmina.
Torino.
Che essere francese.
Un maschio.
A frame is split in half. The right half is empty. It is a very plain facade of the building. No windows, no murals, a brick wall. On the left side, however, there is a landscape that shows a snowy mountain, perhaps a volcano, in all of its majestic beauty. In the foreground, we see a couple. The man sits on a bench in distress. Behind him, there's a woman comforting him with her hand on his shoulder. This is a final shot of Michelangelo Antonioni's La Ventura. This is the shot that is deeply engraved in my memory. I'm pretty certain that this is my favorite frame in all of cinema. I don't even know precisely why, as there are so many ways to explain this picture. Perhaps it is important to look at the context of this shot first. La Ventura is the first film of the so-called trilogy on modernity and its discontents. This name is already quite intriguing. The movie starts with a girl named Anna who appears to be acting quite strangely. She joins her mostly absent lover, Sandro, and her curious best friend, Claudia, and some other characters on a trip to an island. This is where Anna escapes the realm of this film. The girl disappears. As she disappears, the circumstances unite Claudia and Sandro, as they both desperately search for the anchor of stability that Anna represented for them in one way or another. Naturally, the unproductive search party gets distracted by one another. And by the end of the film, you lose all hope to find Anna. Throughout La Ventura, Claudia subtly transforms into Anna, perhaps to reduce Sandro's shame in cheating on his missing girlfriend. But Sandro is a very unstable man, unreliable. Same as he didn't commit to his passion in architecture or to his relationship with Anna, he doesn't hesitate to cheat on Monica Vitti either. Claudia catches him in the act of betrayal with some prostitute and runs off. Sandro, deeply ashamed of himself, runs after her, which is no surprise. This man clearly went too far, betraying everything in his way. This is the moment to repent. As he catches up with her, the characters are surrounded by the ruins of war. Sandro, unable to speak, sits down on the bench and weeps. Claudia comes up to him from the back, hesitant to forgive him, and eventually puts her hand on his shoulder as the sign of acceptance. And then comes this shot. While watching Antonioni, it is extremely important, it's hard not to pay attention to the architecture and space that surrounds his subjects. Every location, every building, and non-building is important. This can be supported by the first lines of the film.
Questa povera villa sarà soffocata tra poco. E pensare che c'era un bosco qui.
Lì ci verranno tutte case.
Già, non ci si salva più.
C'ha ragione. Buongiorno, eccellenza.
Addio, caro.
Ah, sei qui, papà?
If you're like me
Cercavo di
and
solo.
pay attention to every structure or building and what it represents, these lines must give you shivers. Same as the last shot of the film. I believe the fact that Antonioni was obsessed with spaces around his subjects should come as no surprise. The more of his films you see, the more scenes you will encounter where it is obvious that the story between the subjects is deeply intertwined with the space around them. Then what does this ending shot represent? In a broad way, there's perhaps only one way to sum it up. This frame is about the transitory period of this post-war century. I believe there's no way to describe it with words. This image already concisely and perfectly describes everything. Even attempting to explain this image seems quite wrong to me, but I will try to explain how I perceive it. I read this frame the way you would read text, from left to right, where left is the beginning and right is the ending. The beginning represents something quite monumental, natural. Whether it's a mountain or a volcano, it still belongs to nature, and there's people interpreting it for the last time. Modernism in its pure abstract form. The next period is here, on the right. Plain and empty, entrapping and sheltering at the same time. The characters look back at the freedom of the natural law, the beauty of the natural structures. Sandro is already entrapped by his trauma and regrets. The new way of living without any greater purpose. Looking away from grand narratives. Claudia is the only person who saw Sandro in his true form, and she is forgiving, as she must have known that is the way he is. Reading this image from the 21st century is even more taunting, because it is an illustration of the transitory state between modernism and postmodernism. Message from the past. This is a prime example of a scene where a deeply interpersonal story becomes global. If your story cannot go that big in a span of one frame, would it even be worth it to put it to screen? That is the question I ask myself every day.